Hi, I'm Danzen and welcome back to Scrap Mechanic. In today's video, I will be showcasing and doing a teardown of my latest creation. My goal was to cram as many building tricks and techniques as possible into a single creation. I came up with the idea of an acrobatic car but fell short of my goals since I was constrained to a smaller build and couldn't include everything that I wanted to. Starting off with the basics is the unusual steering mechanism. These linkages and joints reposition the pivot axis to intersect with the wheels. In other words, it creates a virtual rotational axis. Let's add some visual aids to show you what I mean. And let's temporarily lock the front wheels for this. The green long pipe pieces represent the virtual rotation axis and remains fixed in place even as I steer the wheels. This makes the wheels pivot in place, more or less anyway, since we can't perfectly center it because the wheels are 2 blocks wide. A conventional steering with offset bearings would instead drag the wheels over the ground every time you turn. The further the offset, the more it drags. Here are clearer examples of the mechanism. The first one here is a proper version similar to how it would be done in real life. This only requires one bearing to be driven to work. However, we can cheat a little in scrap mechanics since all bearings connected to a seat rotate the same amount at the same speed, assuming all the settings are identical. This next example shows how we can drive 3 bearings and significantly simplify the mechanism. The last example is what I used in my creation and is a hybrid of the first 2. It only requires 2 bearings to be driven. However, I still connected 3 bearings for extra robustness. Moving on, we have the jump ability of this creation. The measuring stick here is 16 blocks tall per section, marked by different colors, and the creation consistently jumps about 3.5 sections or 56 blocks. Let me just add a switch here to extend the pistons so that I can show you what it looks like. There are a total of 12 max level pistons here powering the jump. I achieved this very compact arrangement using a combination of 2 techniques. The first technique, commonly known as quote-unquote glitched welding within the community, is basically just building in a way where parts overlap with pistons or suspensions. This works because joints do not have a collision mesh. In general, I'm against the term glitched welding for this case because the weld tool isn't always a necessity to achieve something like this. The second technique, as far as I know, is one that I have yet to see anyone else use. It is a building technique that lets you put 2 parts in the same grid space, and no, this is not done with the Glitch Welder Tool mod or blueprint editing. In fact, I don't use them at all for my creations. Another major difference is that the 2 parts are not forced together and the collision meshes do not intersect even though they occupy the same grid space. Of course, this only works for a very limited selection of parts. Here are a few examples of parts that do work. While the technique may not look impressive, it's extremely practical for creating compact joints and stacking joints. Let me know in the comments below if anyone is interested in learning more about this technique and how to use it. I will gladly make a tutorial on it and include a list of parts that can be used this way. Next up is the logic in this creation, which looks complex, but the main function is simply for timing the pistons to achieve consistent and optimal jumps. The pistons are tuned to extend for a fixed number of ticks regardless of how long the jump button is pressed. They are then automatically retracted near the apex of the jump, staggered in 3 stages with 4 pistons in each stage and a 1 tick delay between them. The sensors surrounding the creation serves 2 functions. it prevents jumping unless the creation is on or near the ground, and it activates the suspension stabilization and enables suspension steering once in the air. Because of this, there is zero active suspension glitch effects when driving on the ground. There are two sets of suspension glitches, one in the front that stabilizes and controls yaw, and one in the back for roll and pitch. When the creation is on the ground, the green parts can move freely without any restrictions. Once in the air, the blue parts are extended out with pistons to lock the green parts in place. This stops the green parts from moving around freely when the creation tries to rotate, resulting in a suspension glitch effect that stabilizes the creation. To achieve aerial yaw, the front suspension glitch is on a bearing connected to the driver's seat and can be rotated with the A and D keys. This has no effect on the ground, but once in the air, the green part is forced to push against the blue locking pieces, effectively becoming a suspension steering setup. On the back, 4 blue pipe pieces push down against the green wedge pieces. When one of the blue pipe pieces is retracted, the green part will be forced to this side by the opposing piston. This creates another 2 sets of suspension steering setup for pitch and roll control in a single package. Despite having several moving parts and high impulses during use, this creation is robust and almost never jams or glitches into itself. There are many subtle design choices that contribute to its reliability. As I wrap up this video, I want to share a quick tip for those interested in building a stable and powerful jumping creation. Pay close attention to the distribution of weight, keep in mind the center of gravity, and don't assume that lighter is always better for achieving higher jumps. Let me know in the comments if you find any of the techniques I've used in this creation to be interesting and you would like to know more about, and I'll make a tutorial on it. Until then, bye!